Hey, Yuri, wandering ecologist, I guess you can call me. I don't really care about the title. I'm really just here to make a log of certain plants, animals, and whatever of the ecology of the particular environment that I'm looking at. How they be, how they do, how they interact with one another, how they interact amongst themselves, how they lived, what they do to other species, including us peoples, and whatever interesting facts I find out about them that I wish to divulge in this video essay thing. So, hey, my notes are a bit scatterbrained. That's kind of just how I operate as whatever I am. So let's just jump into it. Pasqueflower is the topic of this video. Pulsatilla vulgaris. Pulsatilla meaning a plant whose parts once dried are used for medicinal purposes. The parts that are above the ground, not the roots. Vulgaris is the species that is, wait, hold on, I'm kind of jumping to the gun right now. Let me, scientific classification, right? Scientific classification is basically saying, hey, this is why this species is different from that species. That's really all you need to know about it. They are differentiated amongst 7 tiers. There's kingdom, which is the most broad spectrum. It's just, hey, is that a mammal? Is that a mammal? Okay, cool, they're both mammals. Is that a plant? Is that a plant? You get the idea. While the other side of the spectrum of the scientific classification is species, and that is the precise identity of any living creature. We're talking about plants today. So, Pulsatilla vulgaris. That is the genus Pulsatilla, and vulgaris, the species. Haha, alright, let's continue. So we said the genus, now the species, vulgaris, and that is Latin for common. Then that makes the Pasqueflower of the Ranunculaceae family. That is the, oh, right. I'm only going to be talking about the 3 most specified sections of the scientific classification, so that's going to be the most specific, which is species, the one above that, the genus, and the one above that, the family. Ranunculaceae is the family of the Pasqueflower, which stands for buttercup family. Ranunculaceae derives from the Latin term ranunculus, which means little frog, which more so stems from the word rana, frog. My only guess as to why that's the case is just because frogs, they're a lot when they're together. So when you see the most common of the buttercup family, I don't really have any, I didn't look that up, it just frogs. The genus Pulsatilla actually used to be classified as another genus, the anemone. I'm going to be stuttering like a little clownfish when I say that word later in the video. I already know because during research I was just stumbling. That being said, the names for the Pasqueflower, there's so many of them. Meadow anemone is a popular name. There's also Pasqueflower, the OG name. April Fools, Blue Money, Cat's Eyes, wait, what? Windflower, Dream Herb, Flaw Fowl. Well, there's the flaw. Flower of the Wind, Headache Plant, and Mayflower are really just the coolest names that I found in the large list of otherwise uninteresting names, so I'm wasting time, aren't I? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Pasqueflower, Pasque actually comes from the Hebrew word Pasque. Correct me all you want about my grammar. It's warranted. But that's basically the Hebrew's word for Passover. This plant is one of the first ones that occur or bloom in spring. It's one of those go-getter types that you kind of just, you hate to see it, but you secretly wish that you had the energy to do that. It's one of those kind of plants. What was I saying? Passover, right? Because that's over like between March and May. It's around that time, and they just call it Pasqueflower because that flower blooms during that time. Shocker, right? The anatomy of the Pasqueflower. The plant has 6 velvety curled petals with pointed tips surrounding a ring of bright yellow stamen and a mass of pink-tipped pistils. It has an upright shaped bell that is 1.5 inches. The stem typically between 5 to 8 inches. Furry outside, silky inside. Them roots be thick. The woody nature of the roots comes with age. Finely divided leaves emerging from the base early in the spring. Leaves that develop after the flower. And God, I'm retreading ground. Covered in silky hair. You got it? Good. These flowers, the Pasqueflower, range, or the petals at the very least, range from deep to pale purples and white. Occasionally reds, which also go by the term rubra. Chlorophyll. The leaves of the plant absorb the carbon dioxide in the air. The roots absorb the water and the minerals in the ground. Chlorophyll uses the light that it traps to break down the CO2 and the water and forms a sugar called glucose. That's its food. Oh, and starch as well, but whatever. Nobody cares about starch. The Pasqueflower is an angiosperm, so it has both the male and female parts. Wind helps spread pollen from one angiospore to another. There's also birds and insects that get the pollen on them, and when they transfer over to another flower, it passes on that pollen to the female parts of the flower, or at least that's the hopes and that's the dreams. It's a plant. It stands still and it can't really control that kind of thing. The male sex organ, the stamen, is comprised of the anther, which is the part that actually produces the pollen, and the stem, called the filament, that connects it to the rest of the plant. The pollen, however it may travel, it goes to the pistil, or the female part of the flower, female sex organ. So the pollen falls onto the stigma, which is the big part of the inside of the flower. It goes up to the tip, which is the pistils, and is carried into the tube that's called a style. The pollen, I want to say, ciphers through until it reaches the inner chamber of the pistil, which is the ovary. Ovary has the ovules. Once those two, the pollen and the ovule, meet, I want to say they produce a gamete. I really want to say that that's what it is. That could be pure inaccuracy, but that's basically how the flower reproduces, even if I'm using the wrong terminology to say the actual, what is it, the cell that is created between the two. Therein we have the luscious purple petals, the sturdy stamen, and the fertile pistil. These all sit above the sepals, the green leaf-like leaves underneath, and which sits on the receptacle, the part that connects the stem to the actual flower. And there you have the anatomy of the Pasqueflower. Just a side note, it's kind of cool that just re-looking at all this stuff. I haven't really looked at this stuff since like high school and stuff, whatever. It's kind of cool that plants are actually kind of the fuel for the entire food chain, like insects, birds, and animals. Like, we wouldn't have any of that if insects didn't have anything to eat, if the birds didn't have anything to eat, if the animals didn't have anything to eat, and so on and so on. So it gets to, it doesn't matter if you're an herbivore or omnivore or carnivore. Well, you can't be a carnivore, honestly. Or you can try your best, but you're gonna have a shit life. But it's really cool, just relearning all this stuff and realizing, like, you know, plants eat light, and because of that, we're able to eat in general. That's dope. Some interesting behaviors of the Pasqueflower. When it opens up, it nods as the flowers open. It nods open and it faces towards the sun, trying to gather up as much of that yummy light as it possibly can. The plant is one of the first of the Hibiscus perennials to bloom in the spring. The USDA zones indicate which kind of areas around the world a plant is able to live in, and the zones that the Pasqueflower live in are between zones 4 through zone 8. Those temperatures, climates, usually reaching a low of zone 4 being negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit through zone 8, which is 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Being a plant capable of surviving in the tundra, it is used to very dry climates. It actually does best in dry climates, especially dry climates with well-dried soil. The sun really is the thing that it focuses on, since the flower follows the sun throughout the day. And then just follow it 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and then it'll close back its buds. Mentioning as well, the plant is actually entirely toxic. The petals, the roots, the stem, just everything about it is pure toxin. But it's only anything to worry about in large doses. And again, it's taken medicinally when it's dried, so it's a plant that it's not going to do the most damage as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you know what you're handling. The symptoms, though, that come from this plant range from inflammation of the skin, blistering from fresh sap, irritation to the mouth. People do ingest it. I will get to that. People use it as a tea for rheumatism. We'll get to that. And everybody's favorite pepto symptom, diarrhea. The plant in the zones that it stands in, 4 through 8, are typically found in prairies. Anything with an open slope, usually like a rocky surface, not a rocky surface, but a soil of a mountainside with a slope to it. Wooded areas or granite outcrops. And yeah, an abundance of them are found in temperate climates of the chill variety. The plant contains glycoside renunculin, which converts to anemonin when dried. That's the healing agent that I was talking about. Once the plant, once it's dried or heated, it can actually be used for a variety of medicinal purposes. The Pasqueflower is an alternative medicine. It is an antipasmotic, diaphoretic, immunogogue, expectorant, nervine, and sedative. Look, at this point, I'm literally just reading off of where I got my research from. I don't know what those words are, except for sedative, diaphoretic, and alternative, and antipasmotic. I'm guessing that's just another word for antiseptic. I'm not researching every single one of those words, but I might have like a little screenshot for all those words as I'm reading off, just so I don't look completely dumb. Once ingested internally, it is used to aid in symptoms of premenstrual syndrome, asthma, inflammations of reproduction organs, tension headaches. I guess that's kind of why they call it a headache plant, huh? And that makes sense. Here we go again. Neurologia, insomnia, hyperactivity, dead ass. So it's ADHD kids, huh? Just give them this. It's a little poison. It's cool, but once it's dried, it's good. Don't worry. Bacterial skin infections, here we go with the words I don't fucking know. Septicemia, spasmodic coughs, whooping coughs, and bronchitis. Well, really, there's only 2 things I didn't know. Am I getting smart? External treatments of the plant, Pasqueflower, treats eye conditions like diseases of the retina, senile cataract, and glaucoma. Yeah. God, I was about to date myself when I said it. I was about to say smoke weed every day, but I guess that's like is that old now? That's kind of sad. It probably is, man. I like, what, speaking of old memes, I like the Uganda Knuckles meme. I liked it a lot, but then it's just like out of nowhere, it just died off, dude. It was like the whole year, I think, that you just couldn't stop hearing it. And it just out of nowhere, it just fell. I was like, what happened, dude? Proto-anemone found in all ranunculaceae, produces when the plant is wounded or macerated. Isn't it emaciated? Whatever. The unstable glucoside renunculin enzymatically breaks down into glucose and the toxic proto-anemone. And if you were wondering when that Finding Nemo moment happened, it was right there with that last bit of sentence. Trust me, editing is magic. I struggled right there. So that's really honestly, that's really about the gist of what I wanted to speak of with the flower. I just kind of want to say some of the cool things about it, like it being a healing agent, it also being a toxin. which is just wow, that's really dope. And it's a very beautiful flower, as you can see. Like the petals itself, the gradations from the pink to the purple, some of the reds, the brightness of the stem in itself, it just gave me such an inspiration that I wanted to go ahead and record this. And speaking outside of the character that I'm trying to present this video series as, I like to draw a hybrid of what you would call a creature with a human. We're creatures as well, but you know, we communicate amongst each other, and try to make a hybrid out of it. Typically women. That's just how my drawings tend to go. It won't always be like that, but that's most certainly going to be the majority of them. And I just had to make a plan out of it. I just had to make a character out of it. And I don't know, it was just a very pretty thing. It's just I spent a long time, and it's actually like one of the major inspirations for me wanting to go about this kind of video project, this art project that I hopefully will get some people who also find it interesting. That's kind of the goal, is just to kind of see if there's anybody out there that kind of like what's going on, give me some feedback. If there's anything that I got incorrect, if there's anything that just doesn't sit right with you, there's definitely going to be some of that with some people, but I just want to kind of work on things that I personally want to work on, that I want to see myself. I don't see other artists doing particularly what I'm doing. They do things that's kind of similar to it, but they don't do the chimeric binding as faithfully as I would like to see incorporated, and just the anatomy of the plant, you know, just how its organs are and how it reacts to things like sunlight. I just thought that this was a very cool way to just do some learning, and hopefully there's other people that take something from this, like I said. To end off this video, I guess there's some trivia that I can go over about the prairie crocus. I guess that's another one of the names that the Pasqueflower goes by. It didn't make my chopping block from earlier. It is officially adopted by Manitoba in 1906 as the plant's provisional flower. Manitoba Horticultural Society first voted their interest, with a subsequent vote among school children following, to put the crocus in first place as the provisional flower for Manitoba, followed by the prairie lily as a second runner-up, and the wild rose being a third. Well, yeah, that's cool, I guess.